The mirror had never been kind to Lena. Every morning before school, she stared at the reflection that her family treated like a flaw. Pale skin scattered with stubborn acne, thick glasses slipping down her nose, hair that never quite obeyed a comb. She wasn't ugly, not really, but she had grown up believing she was, because that was all she ever heard. Lena, try not to stand too close to your sister, her mother would sigh as they got ready for family photos. You make the contrast too obvious. Her sister, Camilla, was everything Lena wasn't, golden-haired, effortlessly graceful, the kind of beauty that made people stare when she walked into a room. Even teachers adored her. When Camilla smiled, the world seemed to lean closer. When Lena spoke, the world looked away. High school graduation should have been a day of pride. For Lena, it became the day her family erased her completely. She stood at the edge of the crowd, clutching her diploma like a fragile secret. Her parents barely looked her way. Their attention was fixed on Camilla, who had graduated with honors 2 years earlier, and was now home for the summer, basking in the admiration of everyone who remembered her perfection. When Lena tried to join them for photos, her mother's eyes flickered with irritation. "Oh honey," she said too sweetly. "Why don't you take one with your friends? We already have so many family pictures." Lena's father laughed. "Family? She's barely a part of it anymore." The words hit her harder than she expected. Around them, relatives chuckled awkwardly, pretending not to notice the cruelty. Someone whispered, "Poor girl, she looks nothing like her sister." That night, Lena overheard them talking in the kitchen as she packed away her graduation gown. "She's 18 now," her father said. "We've done our part. She's not going anywhere in life anyway." Her mother's voice followed, tired and sharp. "She's a stain on this family, Richard. I can't even look at her sometimes." Lena stood frozen in the hallway, the suitcase in her hand suddenly heavy. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just walked quietly to her room, folded the few clothes she owned, and slipped out the door into the cold night. The stars were dim, hidden behind clouds, but for the first time, she didn't feel like hiding anymore. Each step away from that house was a step toward something she couldn't yet name. Freedom, maybe, or revenge. All she knew was that she would never give them the satisfaction of seeing her break. As she boarded a late-night bus out of town, her father's last words echoed in her head. "You'll never be more than a mistake we wish we didn't make." Lena stared out the window, eyes dry, heart raw, and whispered to herself, "Then I'll become something you can't even imagine." The first few years were the hardest. Lena learned quickly that the world didn't pause for the broken. She worked anywhere that would take her, cafes, libraries, cleaning offices after midnight. Every paycheck was a lifeline, every meal a small victory. She lived in a single-room apartment where the walls peeled and the pipes moaned like old ghosts, but it was hers. No one looked at her with disappointment there. Loneliness clung to her at first. She had no friends, no family, only the echo of her parents' words reminding her of what she wasn't. But somewhere between exhaustion and survival, she found resolve. Each insult she had ever heard became fuel. Each rejection became proof that she had to build a life no one could take from her. During long bus rides between shifts, she studied beauty blogs, dermatology journals, chemistry textbooks from the library. She began to understand her own skin, the science behind every scar she'd once hated. There was a strange poetry in it. Learning to heal what the world had called unworthy. She applied for scholarships, wrote essays until her hands ached, and was accepted into a small university program for cosmetic science. Balancing study and work nearly broke her, but quitting had never been an option. For every night she cried herself to sleep, she reminded herself that tears were just the proof she hadn't given up yet. Years passed and Lena began to change. Her acne faded under her own carefully crafted formulas. The glasses were replaced with contact lenses, though she still kept the old pair as a reminder. She learned how to carry herself, not with arrogance, but with quiet certainty. She didn't need to be beautiful by anyone else's definition. She just needed to be undeniable. After graduation, she poured everything she had into building something of her own. A skincare brand inspired by imperfection. She called it Scara, short for Scar and Rare. What started in her kitchen, mixing serums and creams with trembling hands, turned into a small online business. Customers began sharing their stories. People who felt ugly, invisible, or rejected, just like she once had. Her brand wasn't about beauty, it was about survival. Word spread. Investors noticed. Within 5 years, Scara became one of the fastest-growing independent brands in the country. Lena stayed anonymous, using a different surname, avoiding interviews. The world saw her as a mysterious entrepreneur, elegant and unreachable. No one connected her to the awkward, forgotten girl she once was. But success didn't erase the ache. Some nights, she still dreamed of the house she left behind, of her mother's cold stare, her father's laugh, her sister's perfect smile. The wounds had healed, but scars, she knew, never truly disappeared. They only reminded you where you'd been cut. And so when the ivory envelope arrived, gold lettering spelling out Camilla and Ethan's wedding, Lena felt something deep inside her stir. She held it for a long time before smiling faintly. 11 years, she whispered. Let's see what's changed. The envelope was elegant, ivory white, embossed with gold vines curling around names Lena hadn't spoken in 11 years. Camilla and Ethan. For a moment, Lena thought it must have been sent by mistake. But the address was correct, her company office, not her home. Whoever had mailed it hadn't realized that the CEO of Scara, the woman who built an empire from brokenness, was the same girl they'd once cast aside. She almost threw it away. Almost. But curiosity is a dangerous kind of flame. As she ran her fingers over the gold lettering, she wondered what kind of life her sister had built. Was she still the golden girl? The adored one? Did her parents still tell people they only had one daughter? That night, Lena poured herself a glass of wine and opened the envelope. It wasn't just an invitation. It was a full display of perfection. The wedding would be held at the Lorien estate, a place famous for its luxury and exclusivity. Every detail, from the engraved font to the scent of rose petals pressed into the paper, screamed money and pride. A smile tugged at Lena's lips, sharp knowing. So much had changed and yet so little. She decided to go. When the day arrived, she chose a dress unlike anything she'd ever worn. A sleek, emerald gown that shimmered subtly with every movement. Her hair fell in soft waves. Her skin glowed naturally from the very products she had created. She looked like the kind of woman her family had always wanted, only this time, she had made herself that way, without them. The moment she stepped into the grand hall, conversations quieted. People turned. Lena didn't just enter the room. She commanded it. Her mother, standing near the reception table, froze mid-sentence. Her father blinked, uncertain. Camilla, radiant in her bridal gown, tilted her head in polite confusion, searching her memory. But it was Ethan who reacted most. Across the room, his smile faltered. His eyes widened, disbelief flickering into something softer, almost pained. Lena's chest tightened. Memories she'd buried began to surface. A boy who used to sit beside her in the library, who once told her she had the kindest eyes he'd ever seen. The only person who made her feel seen. He took a hesitant step toward her. Lena, he murmured, barely audible. She smiled, calm poised. It's been a long time, Ethan. Camilla turned, her expression flickering with confusion. You two know each other? Before Lena could answer, Ethan's hand dropped, and silence stretched like glass between them. Yes, Lena said finally, her voice even but edged with history. More than you think. Her mother's wineglass slipped from her hand, shattering on the marble floor. Lena didn't flinch. She just smiled, because in that single moment, every cruel word, every humiliation, every sleepless night had found its echo. And the sound was beautiful. The air in the banquet hall thickened after Lena's words. Conversations stuttered, laughter died. Her mother stood rigid, face pale beneath layers of foundation, while her father's eyes darted between Lena and Ethan, searching for an explanation that wouldn't ruin the illusion of their perfect family. Camilla forced a brittle laugh. You must be mistaken, she said, gripping Ethan's arm. You probably knew her from college or something. But Ethan's gaze never left Lena. No, he said quietly. I knew her long before that. We were friends. In high school. Friends, the simplest word, yet it carried years of meaning. He had been her secret anchor back then. The one who'd lent her books, shared quiet corners, and once told her she deserved more than the world gave her. But when her family found out, they'd mocked her mercilessly, and Ethan had been pressured to stay away. Lena met Camilla's glare with calm eyes. "It's strange," she said softly, "how small the world can be. You never know when the people you look down on might rise high enough to meet your gaze again." Her mother recovered first, straightening her pearls. "So you did well for yourself," she said with forced composure. "We're glad you found something." Something. The word tasted like old contempt. Lena smiled faintly. "Yes. Scara is doing quite well. You might have heard of it." The table behind them fell silent. One of the guests, a beauty influencer, gasped. "You're the founder of Scara? The skincare brand?" A ripple of recognition moved through the room. Cameras turned discreetly. Her mother's painted smile froze. Realizing the woman she'd dismissed was the self-made figure half the crowd admired. Ethan's expression softened into something between awe and regret. "You built that yourself?" "From scratch," Lena replied. "Failure can be an excellent teacher." Camilla's fingers tightened around Ethan's sleeve, her voice trembling. "You knew her?" Ethan hesitated, too long. That silence told Camilla everything. The fury in her eyes was sharp enough to cut, but Lena didn't need to twist the knife. Her revenge was already complete. As the music resumed awkwardly, her father approached, his face lined with something she'd never seen before, guilt. "Lena," he began, voice low, "we didn't know we—" She stopped him with a raised hand. "Don't," she said. "You knew exactly what you were doing. You just didn't think I'd survive it." For a long moment, the two of them stood in silence. Then Lena smiled, not with bitterness but with release. "I don't need an apology. I stopped needing your approval the night I left." She turned and walked away, her heels clicking against the marble floor. Each step a quiet declaration of victory. Outside, the night air was cool, clean, untouched by the poison she'd left behind. She looked up at the sky, stars shimmering faintly above the estate's lights. For the first time, the reflection in her car window didn't feel like a stranger. She whispered to herself, voice steady and sure. "They labeled me ugly. I just turned that label into a brand." Then she smiled, softly, triumphantly, and drove away, leaving behind the ghosts who once called her unworthy.